everybody. My name is Rich Sear, and we also have John Bristol. How are you?
How's it going, man?
So let's talk a little bit about stuff. You know what? I got to say, the guy whoever invented Zoom must be so happy about this pandemic because he's the only one besides package stores that is actually profiting from this.
Oh, I bet.
Well, let me give a little introduction. I have a radio show. You have your own production company. You make movies with puppets, which is great. Everybody's got to check out. We're going to have a chance to plug later on. So you and I, when we were talking about movies, we realized that we have a lot of similar tastes in horror movies. And the more we talked, so then when we got stuck here during the pandemic quarantine time, it's like, let's start a new show. So we came up with a couple of titles. And I thought of something right to the point, real REEL talk with Rich and John. I mean, but this time we're going to start off, and I think it's a great show to start off with the Evil Dead, actually Evil Dead trilogy, but everything Evil Dead. We have the Evil Dead. We have the remake, we have the Evil Dead the musical, we have books, we have the show. Yes,
the show.
Evil Dead.
Yeah.
So obviously, I mean, I'm not sure how old I was. The movie came out in 1981, I think, the original Evil Dead.
Yeah, I think it was 81. Yeah, I was 6, so I didn't see it in the theater, obviously.
I'm a little bit older than you, so I saw it in the theater, and I don't even know how I saw it in the theater because I remember it was like an NC-17 at the time, and they weren't even.
Yeah.
But I know my father, and I'm so happy he used to do it. See, every time he'd say, I don't know if your kids can take it. My kids can handle it. Get them a ticket. And
there you go.
Then they were a lot more lenient, so I was able to see it in the theater, and at first it was funny because the first one's really not a comedy. The first one's straight out horror. But I love the fact that we're going to go on like why they sort of made it more of a comedy / horror, which I love that combination.
Yeah.
But the first one is just great. It's directed and written, produced by Sam Raimi, who is the master. He's one of my favorite directors. I mean, I can go
me too.
I mean, most people probably know him from Spider-Man, but I like his lower budget movies. Like I love Drag Me to Hell. I love The Gift. I love Simple Plan. Simple Plan is probably one of my all-time favorite movies with Bill Paxton, Bridget Fonda.
Yep. Yeah. So, it's like I'm the same way with him as I am with Peter Jackson.
Yes.
The more money they give him, sure, it's polished and glossy, but they're more creative and inventive when you don't have the budget. You know, like I think those older films and like I'd like to see go back to that, which he did with the show. Don't get me wrong, he did kind of that with the show, but I want to see like an Evil Dead 4 directed by him. You know?
Yeah. Well. They keep talking about it, but I don't know because the series is where they went, and then they just ended the series for some reason.
Yeah.
And Bruce Campbell said that he doesn't want to play Ash anymore, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think that he's going to get bored for a while and then go back to Ash.
It's money talks too. You know.
No, exactly. I agree with
and
you.
Somebody's going to say, like there's money to be made here, and the series was so much fun. Let's just do one more. And it'll truly be like the last one with him at least, It's okay.
Yeah. Well, let's go back to the very beginning. I think Bruce Campbell, the star of the movie, well, he really wasn't even the star of this one. He was, I mean, it was more of an ensemble.
It was an ensemble. Yeah.
And he was 19 years old. Sam Raimi, I think, was like 21. So I think Sam Raimi wrote it, and they produced it together. So Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi would go from house to house collecting money, say, "I'll make you an executive producer if you want. If you give me some money for the movie."
It was the early days of the analog version of crowdfunding.
Yes, exactly.
You ask people who had businesses. You hit your family and friends up, and we'll put your name on it if you give us money. And we did that when I made my first feature film, Josh and Todd. We did a tag sale. We had all of our buddies give us shit they didn't want to have anymore from their basements, and we did a tag sale, and that was like how you just made money to make a movie.
I love it, and it definitely worked because I think the budget was originally $100,000, and then I guess it ballooned. If you want to say ballooned up to $500,000, that's what I heard. And even that's nothing compared to Hollywood standards.
No, yeah.
So they started filming in Michigan. It was actually they made a short film called Within the Woods. That's how it all started. Within the Woods. Yeah. And I saw that. I mean, I guess it's funny because he doesn't have the copyrights to that, but I have an old VHS I bought at one of these conventions that has all these little Sam Raimi things. I think I don't think I saw all of it, but there's like clips and pieces of it that they could put in there.
It's on YouTube in full now.
Oh, it is? Okay.
I discovered it like 6 months ago, and I was like, holy cow! I mean, it's grainy. It's
Yeah.
old VHS copy of a copy of a copy, but it's still cool to see it. It's nowhere near as cool as Evil Dead, but it's definitely got the bones of what the idea that became Evil Dead is in there, and that's really cool to see. It's especially when you're like somebody who likes to analyze and watch films over and over again. It's cool to see the start to finish. So you see within the woods, you see where the ideas came from, then you watch the Evil Dead, and you see, that's a cool concept to me to be able to see the rough draft. You don't you don't get that with Hollywood movies and things like that usually. Like if there's a short film that led to the movie, they try to bury that short film.
Oh, exactly. I love the fact too. Like I like to see where they came from. I mean, it's only going to show like, wow, look how far he came. Look how better he got. So I mean, I wouldn't be ashamed of my old stuff. It's like it just shows where you came from. I mean, everybody's got to start somewhere. Like this is our first show. By the time we're done with our 150th show, we're gonna look at that one. Like, remember the Evil Dead show?
Like, oh,
God, I can't even look at that.
I can't believe we had to shoot it during the pandemic. Not even with each other.
It was originally called Book of the Dead, but you want to know why they changed it?
Because they didn't think people would go see a movie with the word book in it because people don't want to read.
It's sad, but
silly, but kind of true,
I don't want to have to read a movie. It's like, but yeah. But some of the other titles, which I found later on, I thought were hilarious. Let me see if I can find them in my notes here. It was
all right.
Let me get my my professor glasses on.
Oh, there you go. There we go.
It was called there's several like oh wait, Lick the Blood of My Shovel was another title they came up with.
Oh, God, that's awful.
Sex Bad Must Kill. And then the Evil Dead Men and the Evil Dead Women.
Those are bad.
Yeah.
Those are bad. Evil Dead. I mean, Evil Dead. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect time. It's even better than Book of the Dead, if you ask me, because it's the Book of the Dead. You wouldn't have been. Book of the Dead 2, Army of Darkness, Book of the Dead. They just don't sound. They don't roll off your tongue as well as just Evil Dead.
No, definitely. I agree with you. And a lot of times people might say, well, that's because you always know it is Evil Dead. But no, Evil Dead is short, sweet, right to the point. And it's, what really made the movie? Because the movie obviously didn't do well in the beginning because it became part of the video nasties. But VHS, or actually it was started off with beta, but then VHS tapes came out.
Yeah.
VHS and that's when it really found its shelf life.
That's where I found it. Like I was, I was a little younger. I missed it in the theater, and I missed Evil Dead 2 because it came out in '87.
Yeah.
I've been 12. And I being already into horror films, and my parents were very open about taking me to horror films and all that. I missed the boat on Evil Dead 2, but I was aware of it. Like I never saw it in the theater. It came and went too quick, but I was aware of it because of Fangoria. I was aware of it because Twilight Zone magazine. I was aware of it. And then when it hit videotape, I missed the boat on it again just because life. I was 13, 14, 15. There were other I was chasing girls and art and movies. I mean, my first job was at a second-run movie theater, so I love movies, but I just missed the Evil Dead boat. And then I had a buddy who was telling us about Evil Dead 2, Evil Dead 2. He kept bringing it up. My buddy Rich, and not you, but a different Rich. And finally, me, him, and my other friend Pete, we decided we're going to rent it. Let's shut Rich up. Let's watch Evil Dead 2. And he'd never seen Evil Dead. He only seen Evil Dead 2. And we're like, shouldn't we rent Evil Dead first? He's like, no. The first half of this is a remake of the first movie. We're like, all right. So we watched Evil Dead 2, and I just sat there with my jaw down. As a guy who wanted to make film and all that, I was like, I could do this. I love this, and this is great. And it's still creepy, even though it's more comedic. It's still a very creepy movie. The sound effects, the puppets and animatronics in it, everything is still very creepy.
Even the stop motion animation, I love that. At the very end, I mean.
Oh yeah, and then at the end of when we watched Evil Dead 2, and then my other buddy Pete, who it was his Blockbuster card we used. We went back the next day to return the film, and we're like, we got to rent Evil Dead because we knew they had it, and we're like, we got to see this now. So the three of us got back together like 2 days later. We didn't do it that night, but we got into and watched Evil Dead, and this was right before Army of Darkness was announced, which was really cool timing to get into these movies. Like
it was like 1990 then.
Yeah, 92 Army of Darkness.
Oh, you're right. You're at 92. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was or 93.
Okay, somewhere around there. Yeah, I'm thinking I met Bruce Campbell several times, but at a convention, it was 1990. Yeah. He was promoting Evil Dead or Army of Darkness. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, because I remember in '93 it came out because we were. I remember I was in a mall. Not that long after seeing Evil Dead, I was in a mall, Evil Dead 2 on video, and I was at a Sam Goody record store, and there was a poster in the record store promoting Army of Darkness. and we saw and none of us knew about the movie. I just wasn't following it, you know. And I'm like, wow, that looks like the guy from Evil Dead. Oh, he's got the chainsaw head. This must be an Evil Dead movie. Why is it called Army of Darkness?
Yeah.
But I was like, I'm going to see this opening night. And then I went with this other kid who I wasn't even like really friends with. Some kid I knew in school was just like, you want to go see this movie? And he was the only person I knew who wanted to go. And there was like 8 of us in the theater. And I was heartbroken. Heartbroken because no one else. That's happened to me more than once now in my life. That was the first time I went to a movie because I was so excited at opening night. And, you know.
Well, it's funny. I actually love that for myself. It's like a private showing for me. But you know what? You know what's funny about that is I think that it's similar with musicians too. When somebody sees a movie and they're like, "Oh my God, you guys see this movie," then when it becomes popular, they're like, "Oh, it's sold out." It's like, no, you're just mad because you're not the only one who say, "Oh, I'm the only cool one that knows about this movie." I mean, what's the job of a musician? To sell as many records as you can.
So
Right. A producer of a movie to get as many people to see your movie.
People, yeah. If I love when things. I used to kind of be that hipster guy who's like, "Oh, I was into it when it was cooler," and then I got over that real quick because it was just like, you know what? I want the things I like to be successful, so I can have more of them.
Exactly.
So yeah, sure. I saw the Army of Darkness movie with 3 other people or 5 other people in the theater, whatever it might be. But I was like, more people need to see this, and thank God for TV. Thank God for videotape. You know, because Army of Darkness hit like TV, and I can remember like seeing it on like Saturday afternoons on Channel 20 here in Connecticut.
Oh yeah.
In like 1998, and everyone's like, "Have you heard this movie?" And I'm like, "Are you kidding me? I own the VHS." You know, like.
Well, you know what's funny? I saw it originally in the theaters when it first came out, just like you.
Yep.
When I was expecting more of a horror movie, even though I saw it.
Yeah.
Too. And then I said, it took me off guard for a minute because I said, this is more of slapstick / Three Stooges. And it took me a little while to actually like that one as much as I like the other two. But
yeah, it was my least favorite for a while. Now I love them all equally, but for completely different reasons. You know, like it took a little while, but I still liked it. It just didn't blow me away. But I still want everyone to see it because it was Ash, even though he was a complete asshole. That's what made him fun at that point. You know?
Yeah, no, he's the great character that they developed. But for that movie, Army of Darkness, not too long ago, there's something called I think it's called Cult Cinema. They played at the Strand Theater in Seymour.
Yeah, CT Cult Classics. Yeah.
And they had Army of Darkness there, and it was so great seeing it in a theater full of people that
I missed it.
Were all yelling the lines like "Hail to the King, baby, groovy," you know, all the classic lines. Speaking of that, so I mean we're jumping around a lot, but
I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, I like this. I wanted to because originally it was supposed to be called Medieval Dead because he ends up in medieval times.
Right. It was supposed to be the sequel originally.
Yeah. What do you think of the alternate ending compared to the original ending?
I like the theatrical ending the best because that's the movie that they used for the TV show as well. They pick up, you know, years later, he's working at a different shitty store and all that. So I'll prefer that one for the continuity aspect. But the alternate ending is a lot of fun when he wakes up and it's the future and he overslept by 100 years or whatever it was. Like it's fun. But I do think, and I mean, like, I do like the ending that was the theatrical US version and the original videotape release better though. Yeah,
me too.
It's just more fun, and him and the girl at the end and all that. It's just more fun. Everyone's full of crap, and then the Deadite shows up. You know,
I'm gonna have to ask you to leave, man. I love it. Then it's like "Hail to the King, baby."
Yeah, in a way, I am kind of king. You know, like the voiceover and all that. I thought it was great.
No, I love the original ending. I mean, not the original. I love the theatrical version of the
theatrical version. Yeah,
that was really.
I don't know if you own it or not, but Shout Factory through their Scream Factory label put out a Blu-ray. It's 3 DVDs, 3 Blu-rays, 3 discs. It's all 4 versions of the movie.
Yes, I do have that.
Really cool.
Tin. Like years ago,
the tin do they? I don't have that one. I just have the regular packaging. But I was just like, I bought these movies over and over and over again. I'm like, I'm never buying another one of this movie. Then that came out, and I'm like, all right, I'm buying that one. And I sold all the other ones after that because that is all the bonus features from all the previous ones. The geek in me was like, I don't need them all now. I just need this one. So I own all the films on Blu-ray, and I'm happy to have that.
Well, Evil Dead, the first one has is the most stolen movie from video stores. They said.
Oh, I believe it. Yeah. Oh my God. Like. Have you seen the movie Invaluable yet? Are you aware of that?
No.
It's a documentary about Tom Sullivan, who did all the special effects for the first Evil Dead movie.
I gotta check that out.
I kept popping up in my Facebook feed, and I was like, I'm gonna buy this. I don't know. And then I read some reviews, and they were like, it's super amateur, super low budget. But I'm like, you know what? The nerd in me like wants to have this extra footage, these interviews. And he interviewed a lot of the people. And then he was trying to sell. The guy who made it was just selling it on his own, and he was hyping up that if you bought it, he'd give you a vial of dirt from where the cabin from the first movie was from. Because he went there to shoot some scenes. I'm like, all right. But that's when I'm like, I'll drop the $25, whatever it was. So I got it. It's one of the few I still have it. And I opened the package up, and this is what you have. There's no vial of dirt. I'm like, son of a bitch, rip me off. I open the DVD, and there is the tiniest little baggie with the tiniest little vial of dirt. It's there. It's real. I don't know if it's really from the cabin. I'll take his word on it because, there's no footage from digging it up. But it's kind of cool. I was like, damn, the nerd in me. All right, well, I have a piece of it. That's kind of cool.
Part 2, we got Mr. K&B, Craig Nicotero.
Nicotero, yep.
He's the master of makeup now.
Those guys, man, that was their first film, and they weren't even K&B yet. They were working for Mark Shostrom, who's a genius too. And like, wow.
Yeah. That's what, let's get into that, because the Evil Dead 1, we talked about, they were part of the Video Nasties, which I think is funny because Faces of Death was part of Video Nasties, and Faces of Death was proven to be false. None of that it's all reenacted. So that was, but Sam Raimi actually had to go to court in England to defend his film, and they were all these filmmakers were worried about jail time.
I know, right?
It's ridiculous. But according to what I read, and you can correct me, or you might know a little bit more about it, from what I heard, that's why he made part 2 a little bit funnier, because he was afraid that, there was going to be another Video Nasty, and he didn't want to go back to court.
Yeah, I think that was part of it, was that they lightened it up a little bit, but that's why they made, like, the blood was never red. Like, all the monster blood was, like, purple and green and black, to kind of get away from the ratings issues. The first one was released unrated, which would be now NC-17. So I think that, you do shy away from realistic things to get away with things more, and so I think that's, so the second one, I think they released that unrated too, didn't they? I could be wrong, but
I'm not sure about that. I remember, like I said, I don't know how I did see all 3 of them in the theater. I'm not sure how I got into the first one. I think back then they were a lot more lenient. My father was very persuasive. It's like, my kids could take it. Come on.
My parents would take me to R-rated movies all the time, because it's restricted unless you have a parent or guardian.
Yeah.
When I worked at the movie theater, that was like a big deal. Like, we were just like, it's not a law.
Yeah.
No law saying you can't let people in. It's just a recommendation.
Yeah.
And the guy who managed the theater I worked at would always be like, it depends on the movie. I don't really give a crap if it's a horror movie. I don't give a crap if it's an action movie. But if it's Basic Instinct, don't let 14-year-olds in. Because he knew parents would flip out, So we were just like, if they looked old enough, we didn't ask,
I wonder how many kids were scarred for life from Sleepaway Camp.
Right? I was. I didn't see that coming.
No, neither. But what I love too is like how ahead of his time he was. I love the Sam Cam.
Oh my God.
Where he would put the camera on like a little raft and just throw
a rod.
Yeah,
a ramrod. Yeah. Like, oh my God. He used that again in Quick and the Dead. He used it in Spider-Man films. Like, that concept, that became one of the calling cards. You knew it was a Sam Raimi movie when you had that like sped up.
Yeah.
And I think Darkman did it too.
Yes.
I mean, he really did put that in a lot. I bet you he'll put it in his next movie, whatever that's going to be. He'll.
I'm also wondering too, because Ivan Raimi, the brother of Ted Anderson, he wrote Army of Darkness. He co-wrote Army of Darkness, co-wrote Dark. Yep. I wonder if Sam Raimi, I've met him too, and he is hilarious. He has this great sense of humor. But I wonder if Ivan sort of injected a lot more humor into the other ones, because I think, didn't he help write Evil Dead 2, Dead by Dawn?
Yeah, I think so. I think I have a note. Let me check.
Yeah. I know, like, the first one, Sam did himself with Bruce producing.
No, he wrote this. Sam wrote the second one with Scott Spiegel.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So. And then Rob Tapert was the producer.
And Tapert produced all 3, yeah. And Ivan co-wrote Army of Darkness, which was way more slapsticky, but it was supposed to be,
Yeah, no, it was great.
3, Evil Dead 2 is my favorite. Like, out of the 3 films, that's my favorite one. Yep. I love the first one because it's so creepy. It feels like a snuff film in some ways. I love the third one because it's just so over the top, but there's something about the vibe of the second one. Even the music, I thought, was just like, everything was on point for my sense of humor, my style, my like of horror films. That's my favorite.
Well, it was like they had a little more experience and a little bit more
Yeah,
of a budget, and so they were
that
able to do
too.
a little bit more what they wanted. They already knew what the vision was, and they were able to expand that. And I loved it because I love the mix. What do most people do when they get scared? First thing they do is have that nervous laugh. So he combined the best of both. Yeah, and
He gave you that little bit of a, and then slapped you in the face with the gore and the scares, and the bit where he freaks out and has his nervous breakdown in the room, and the animals are all laughing,
yeah,
laughing and all that. Like that is such a like that was so when I started wanting to make horror films, that was like that was so unnerving to watch to me. Like it was like that's somebody. And Campbell does a great job of having a nervous breakdown on camera. I was like, I want to make a movie that feels like that. I don't know if I've done it yet, but that was like that scene alone was one of those like, ooh.
well, I think you came very close, if didn't surpass it with Head, your movie Head. I
Oh,
love it.
thank you.
And I'll give you a little promotion here because it's a horror movie, and it's all puppets.
All puppets.
It's taken seriously, and it's done very well. After a while, you almost
Thank you.
forget they're puppets. That's what I love about the movie.
That's like the best review I can ever get. Is I forgot I was watching puppets. I was just into the characters and the story. And we have a Bruce puppet in it. Before the Evil Dead TV show had a Bruce Campbell puppet. We made a character named Bruce. He was kind of whining and everything like in the first movie. That was kind of the point. But I never thought the movie would get made. It was just to write it. And then when we finally started to do with puppets, I was like, I'm going to make this puppet look like Bruce Campbell. The character called Bruce. He even wears the blue shirt for the second half of the movie. Like we hammered that home.
And you did a great job. Did a great job of paying homage to it without ripping it off. That's what I love.
Right? Yeah. And it does look like Bruce Campbell. He doesn't have the scar, but he's got a big chin and So
it was so great.
Him killed it. Mike, the puppeteer, killed it. Like he's a huge Evil Dead fan too. That was one of the things we bonded over when we met.
Yeah.
So him playing Bruce was perfect.
Because you know what I love about the movie is like the Evil Dead. If you look at it, it's a perfect quarantine movie where you're stuck in a cabin, and the best part is like he has his sister, his girlfriend, his friend, and they're demons, and you have to kill them. But then all of a sudden, wait, is that my sister again? No, it's still a demon, but I have to kill her. It's
right.
Like the psyche, what's going on is like it's a great like psychological movie too, if you look at it that way.
Oh yeah, because especially the first one. Yeah, especially the first one. The second one.
Yeah,
it's more about Linda and the torture of killing Linda and all that, and cutting her head off and burying her. But the first one definitely, and then the show definitely has some of that aspect to it too, because he goes, if I haven't seen the show yet, and you're listening to this conversation, stop for a moment. But
well worth it.
All of a sudden, his sister's back from the dead, and he's got to, and she's not really back from the dead if you watch the show, but they brought the same actress back, which was great. But it was
Ellen Sandwich.
They definitely had some like some of that heartfelt stuff was there.
Well, it's funny for part 2. They redid a lot. Like you said, the first half of it is just a remake of part 1. Right. And Bridget Fonda was a huge fan of Evil Dead. So she said, I want to be in one of your movies. So they put her in the rehash of part 1, like in the flashbacks.
For Army of Darkness, yeah.
Yeah. So that was cool that she was, and then she worked again with Sam Raimi in Simple Plan.
Simple Plan, yeah. I think it's cool that, and then she's married to Danny Elfman, who wrote the theme for Army of Darkness.
Yep. And he was also in The Gift. Yep. Which I love. That's we have to do another show on just Sam Raimi movies because
just his other films. Okay, I'm done with that. Yeah, I won't even get into it now. We'll wait for that.
What was I gonna say? There was so you said Evil Dead Part 2 was your favorite, right?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I'm also a big vinyl nerd, like record collector. I even have the soundtrack.
I don't have that. I do have all the action figures. I actually bought the original. It's not the original poster. It was somewhere for like $75. I said, no, I need to buy that one.
Nice. And I used to be a huge collector of that kind of stuff. I had all the McFarlane figures, the movie Maniacs from Army of Darkness. I had those. I had a few other, the Mini-Mates and things like that. A lot of that stuff got sold to make my own movies. I'm a big music guy, so I keep the soundtracks and things like that. I kept the DVDs, Blu-rays, whatever. But a lot of that collectible stuff just disappeared. Like I never bought one of those Ash puppets yet. I kind of want one. I just keep they're available still. Someday I'll be at a horror con. It'll be on a shelf in some booth. I'm like, yes, now is the time. It'll be one of those things. But
I have a huge collection of like the Tall Man from Phantasm, the Zuni doll from Trilogy of Terror.
That's awesome.
But what I wanted to talk about was I'm so glad they did not make this, and Sam Raimi said no. They wanted to do an Ash versus Freddy versus Jason. I am glad that didn't happen.
Yeah, I remember following that pretty closely when they were talking a lot about it, because I Freddy versus Jason was, you know, they always say who won. Well, I'll tell you who lost. The fans. Yeah. That's who lost. You know, that movie was just like watching a wrestling match. It could have been so, you know, WWE wrestling. It was just, it had some great potential, but it just, the people that made it just didn't care enough, I don't think. Where if you did that sequel to it with Ash, it would have been the same thing. It would have been just goofy and not like in an Ash way.
You know what would be a good matchup? Ash versus the Tall Man. I would like to see that.
But that feels more within the realm of logic for the character too. To me, where Fred and Jason just don't. I mean, not that they couldn't write it and make it work. But to me, they just didn't. You know, and I remember like the whole reason why it didn't happen is who wins. I mean, that was one of the big things that Sam Raimi squashed because, you know, the people who own Freddy want Freddy to win. The people who own Jason want Jason to win. And the reality is Ash has to win. And not just because I love Ash. I love Freddy and Jason too.
Yeah.
When I'm watching, Ash has to win because he's the guy that he survives. He's the survivor, you know?
Well, when I met him, he was promoting Army of Darkness, and somebody said, how you ever survive part 2? He goes, you know what? If it makes enough money, they'll find a way to resurrect me. And that's exactly, you said that earlier, and that's exactly what happened. Evil Dead made enough money, had enough interest, and they made Army of Darkness. And but they moved the series. I'm so glad they did that because the series was. I was kind of afraid of that at first because Sam Raimi wrote the first one, but he wasn't the showrunner. And I said, you know, when you have Sam Raimi's writing with Bruce Campbell's acting, that's a perfect combination. Yeah. But whoever the showrunner was is obviously a huge fan.
I think it was Robert Tappert. Actually, was.
Oh, he was? Okay, I didn't realize it was Robert Tappert.
Yeah, I think he was the producer in the show. I could be wrong. I know he produced it.
Was he the showrunner?
And I think he was the showrunner too. And I mean, his wife's in all the seasons too. So I'm sure he was there for everything, you know. But anybody involved, all the other writers, all the other directors, you could just tell that they loved what they weren't there just for a paycheck. They cared about this project.
Yes, exactly. They were huge fans. That's why jumping around a little bit when they wanted originally Steven Spielberg to direct Spider-Man, and he's like, I am not a fan of that. Sam Raimi knows everything about Spider-Man. Let Sam Raimi do it.
Yeah.
And the fact that Tobey Maguire and Kirsten Dunst said, if you get rid of Raimi, we're out of here too.
And they walked.
They did.
They walked, and that makes sense. And I just read that he's going to be directing the new Doctor Strange movie.
Oh, he is?
He just signed on to do Doctor Strange Part 2. And it makes me wonder, it's like, maybe they can find a way to bring Tobey Maguire back now. Let's go back to
about the fake Shemps. Because
gosh.
Know what a fake Shemp is.
A fake Shemp is pretty much anybody that you can double for somebody else. So it could be me in a wig playing Shelley.
Yeah. Because
Linda. You know, because they didn't have enough people, they couldn't get somebody back. So throw makeup on them, throw a wig on them, you're a fake Shemp. And Shemp is the fake Shemp from the Three Stooges.
Yeah, I was going to say for our younger listeners, Shemp was one of the original Three Stooges before Curly, actually.
Yep.
And then Curly replaced him. And so they would, sometimes if he was sick, they would have somebody else come in. And what happened was Evil Dead, the original, was only supposed to last 8 weeks. And it ended up lasting 12 weeks. So half the cast couldn't do it anymore. So they had Ted Raimi, who was the brother of Sam, come in and put a wig on. He was one of the girls from the back.
Yep.
They get the term fake Shemps. Yeah, so the only reason the fake Shemps came about was because they went over, they had to keep filming and they weren't done yet. And they have to cast it. I would love to be a part of it, but so I think none of them came back for the second one, I don't think.
No, the only person that's in all, and the second one or the third one was Bruce Campbell. The only thing that ties everything together was him and his performances until the TV show when they brought back Ellen Sandwich.
Yeah. Well, you know what's funny? I was listening to an interview with Ellen, and she said, you know, the infamous rape by the woods.
Oh yeah.
He didn't even know that was happening. They filmed that last part where the tree during post. She said,
"Oh, jeez."
I brought my mother to the film. Hey, Mom, you guys, what? Yep. This is my big.
And then you see interviews with Sam Raimi later. Even in the DVD commentary, he talks about how, you know, when that scene happens, there goes 50% of his audience. Like,
See, I loved it. I mean,
I mean, it's of its time. It's of that grindhouse thing. It's sleazy. It's okay by me because it's not real life.
exactly.
Real life portrayal of rape. It's just total fantasy, total horror movie.
Yeah, and it wasn't like, I can't say it was a joke, but it wasn't done like you said. It wasn't like real life. You knew it was fake, and it was the woods came to life.
Right, and it wasn't sexualized either. It wasn't supposed to be hot and sexy. It was brutal.
Yeah.
I
think it's out of all the scenes in that first one, I want to go back to the first one, is the pencil in the ankle.
That still makes me cringe. Oh. I watched the first one again this past week. I watched that one in Army of Darkness this week in preparation, and that scene still, I got to turn my head away, man. Like, I love horror movies. I love that I kind of have to turn my head away from things. That's part of the enjoyment. And I was just like, I remember I had my sketchbook out, like doodling while watching it because I've seen the movie a million times. And I looked up right before it happened. I was like, oh.
Yeah, no, that I do the same thing. So I want to talk about the musical. What do you think of Evil Dead the musical? I love it.
What the fuck was that? Your sister has turned into a zombie. What the fuck was that? Your girlfriend was a demon too.
And I was just like, this is never going to take off. It's never going to play Broadway. Like, it's never going to be a big Tony Award-winning musical. But I loved it. And because it was never meant to be that kind of thing. And it's so funny. So many great in-jokes. Like, the music is great. I mean, what the fuck is that? What the fuck was that? I mean, it's one of the best songs ever. And then I've seen it 2 other times since then. Once here in Connecticut at the Warner Theater.
That's where I saw it.
The guy who directed it was actually one of our puppeteers in Head.
Oh, really? Yeah,
he works with us a lot, which is really cool. Yeah, he did a great job both times. The second time I liked better. But yeah, it's fun. What do you think of it?
I loved it. And it's funny was when I went to go see it by myself, nobody wanted to go. And on one side of me, I had a person who never saw the original, only the remake. On the other side of me, a person who never saw any of it. So she's like musicals. So throughout the whole thing, I was like the interpreter explaining, like, no, that's Bruce Campbell. They're reading his book, like whatever the Chin.
If chins could talk or chins could kill.
That in the bathroom, people are laughing. Why are they laughing at that book? So I explained, he's the original actor in the original movie. Well, I don't get this. So the whole play, I was going back and forth. But what I did want to do is they had the splatter section where you can get splattered by.
Yep.
I guess I was too late in buying tickets, but
I bought my tickets purposely like one row behind that. And the guy who directed was a buddy of mine, and he was just like, "You're gonna get blood anyways. We've discovered it goes." I'm like, "That's fine. I didn't dress up,
Yeah.
Shoes got a little splatter on it. I thought it was funny. Like, it was fine.
What's funny is like that's where some of the people that when I went, I might have been the same show that you were at with the Warner, and I think people who just like musicals came to see a musical, and I said, you have to understand what the musical. It's like Carrie the musical. I love Carrie the musical.
Read the synopsis before you go.
Exactly.
A lot of those season passes and they go to everything they can, and something's just there for you.
Yeah. There's actually, I never saw this, but doing my research too, I guess there's an Evil Dead porno movie called Evil Head.
Oh,
I never.
Yeah, I'll skip that.
I know. That's out of all the Evil Dead things that we talked about. That's the one thing I do not want to see.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of Sam Raimi, he actually acted in one movie. I mean, he's acted in some movies, but called "Thou Shall Not Kill," except he plays. He plays a Charles Manson type character.
Yeah.
Such a great movie. That one too.
One of the things for me when I was learning about Evil Dead before I even saw it was my mom actually subscribed to Twilight Zone magazine, and I'd read them and then they'd go in a bin, and I would go through them later looking for cool pictures and stuff to draw or whatever. And I remember the Stephen King blurb, and I remember they had an article about Evil Dead 2, and that was like that Stephen King quote, really helped that movie go,
Yeah, no, he put that movie in, and there's two quotes they had. One was you always see in the poster, the most ferociously original horror picture of all time. But the other one was the ultimate experience in grueling terror.
Yes.
That was the one that was in Twilight Zone, right? Or no, it was in what magazine? Then the other one was when he saw, because he was actually shown a private showing of the movie.
Yeah.
That's when he came out with that quote. But it's funny how his name actually means a lot to people, because when somebody wanted to buy it was funny. Somebody wanted to buy the book, A Simple Plan. I was working at this place, and I said, "Oh, it's a great book." Well, Stephen King says it's great, so I'm going to buy it.
All
So,
right, like I'm a Stephen King guy. I get it. Yeah, but and then the Evil Dead remake. We didn't really talk about that.
what was your opinion of it? My opinion, I'll give you really quick, was that as a horror movie, I loved it, and it's probably one of the better remakes, but it just doesn't have the heart of Evil Dead. Like, to me, I
agree.
love the characters of the original Evil Dead, and Ash, you really care about them. And Evil Dead, the remake, it was just a bunch of kids in a cabin. Like, all right, well, who just died? I don't know.
Yeah, well, that was the thing. I agree with you on all of that. Like, I just felt like they dropped the ball on the characterization. I like the impetus for why they were there. The one girl with a drug problem, they're trying to help her detox. What a great setup, in my opinion. But then you never got to know any of them well enough to really care, other than Mia. You cared about her because you knew she was the drug addict and she was trying to clean up. And it was cool to see the car. The Delta.
Yeah.
They're all beat up and everything, and like the little throws to the original series, and the fact that they did as much of it in practical effects, I thought was great too. They didn't use a whole lot of digital effects, so it looked great. It sounded great. The performances were fine. It
was missing something.
Yeah. Do I want to see a part 2? Of course I do, because I want to see how. Because the plan I've read and heard like many quotes and saw interviews and all that was they were eventually going to hopefully make a part 2, then a part 3. They tied in with the original series. Because the whole thing about the Book of the Dead is that it travels. It's its own little thing. So there could be alternate realities this book is in, and it was going to bring Ash and Mia's worlds together.
Yeah.
And I thought that would be kind of cool, and it just didn't happen, and then they made the TV series instead, which maybe it still will happen, because the TV series left a lot of things wide open. They could find a way to tie that movie into the series if they do more. But I felt like it was good, just not, it was, out of all the remakes, it was really good.
Yeah.
Probably one of my favorites. The characters just didn't hold me like the original series did.
Yeah, because there's really nobody that I cared about, and they just all look the same, and I'm like, which one just died? I don't really know. Like,
yeah. The buddy with the beard and the blonde hair, I was just like, I know he's supposed to be the Scotty character,
yeah,
but he wasn't at all entertaining.
No.
Scotty was the smart-ass buddy. Party down! When he does the quote and all. And this guy was just kind of an asshole.
My favorite line from Scotty in the original Evil Dead was, hey, what are we going to do? Hey, it's your girlfriend. I don't know. I don't have to worry about it. You take care of it.
Yep. I love how they play on that in the musical, too.
Yeah.
My girlfriend, I just picked her up at a truck stop, whatever the line is. It's great. It's like, yeah, that's...
Hey, man, it's your girlfriend. It's not my problem.
Yeah. That's really cool. So, yeah, the remake, like, the music was great. Like, that was another one where I think the score was awesome.
Yeah.
And the throwback to Ash at the end was great.
Yeah, groovy. And they were really cool. Like I told you, I interviewed Betsy Baker. She gave me actually 2 of them gave me her phone number, and Betsy was the only one who could do it. So we were going to try and do it together. And they're like, we can't really do it together. I said, well, as long as I get one of you for an interview, like, I'll do it. And she was so nice. We talked for like over an hour, and then
that's great.
First she's like, well, you want to do a half hour? I said, let's see how it goes. I don't know if I could talk for more than a half hour. And then it was like an hour later, we were still talking. So it was just, she had so many different things. And that's when I was asking her about Bruce with not playing Ash anymore. She was going to have to ask him. I said, well, can you get his number for me? Because I want to talk to him. I would love that.
Well, it's funny, when we were at the con, my buddy Mike is like obsessed with Evil Dead and all that. He played Bruce. So we made him go over to their booth with the Bruce puppet.
Yeah.
And then as soon as he walked up, they knew it was a Bruce Campbell puppet that looked like Bruce, but they didn't know about Head. So him and Ricky, who produced the film and shot it, I was staying at our booth, so I wasn't there for this. So I heard the story from them after. They started telling them, oh, it's from a horror movie we made. It's a puppet, but the character is based on Ash as like a joke. It's like a tribute/joke. And they were like, oh my God, we got to get pictures. So they didn't charge us for the pictures because they were taking pictures with their own phones. And then the second season there's an Ash puppet. I'm like, those motherfuckers, they didn't even ask me. I'm sure it had nothing to do with it. I'm sure it was just pure coincidence. They could have at least asked me to make the puppet.
The only decent thing to do.
Right? No, I'm sure. I mean, like, I don't think it had anything to do with it. I'm sure they've had people send them photos of Ash puppets in the past too. Like, it's something crafters will make characters they like and things like that. But it was just like, damn it, we did Bruce puppet first.
So the year was 1990. It was right before Army of Darkness because he was promoting Army of Darkness. So I was at the New York Roosevelt Hotel. They had Fangoria at the time, and it was 2:00 in the morning. I saw a couple people in the bar. The elevator opens up. out walks Gunnar Hansen, Linnea Quigley, the screen herself, and Bruce Campbell. So I'm like, Bruce, how are you doing? He was like, he's laughing and we're joking around. So I said, I don't know how it came up. I said, Bruce, are there any parties around here? Yeah, man, go on the 11th floor. I said, I can go, just tell him you know me. Don't worry about it. You'll get in. So I said, Bruce, you're the best. So I went up to the 11th floor. On that floor, there's nothing but janitor closets, nothing but janitorial closets. The next day, I said, hey, Bruce, thanks for the party. And he had his girlfriend or wife with him. And he's like whispering to me, he goes, honey, that's the asshole I was talking about last night. So I got a picture where I'm choking him on a shirt. He put, Rich, see you at the party. Love Ash. He is Ash. Like, I mean, there's no difference between Bruce Campbell and Ashley. No. The same guy. He's doing his own. Well, you saw him before, right? Or did you ever?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He does his own flips. Like remember was it part 2 where his hand was possessed?
He flipped himself over. Yeah, he does those. Well, he doesn't anymore, but he used to do this at all the conventions he would do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, like there was the guy was hilarious. He was down to earth. Now. He was at Rock and Shock, I think, or one of them, and you couldn't even get to him. I mean, the line was from probably like a mile down the road.
It's your whole day to get in line for some of these people now. Yeah. Which is good for him. Great for him.
So I think the next set of movies we should talk about is the Phantasm trilogy.
All right. So I just rewatched the first one this week as well because I'm getting ready.
Because
5. I'm going to watch all 5. I want to see them all so I know where I'm at.
Yeah. They're all really good and all different. Like the first one is my all-time favorite, obviously, but the last one, Ravager, was supposed to be a TV series, and then they didn't get picked up, so Coscarelli just turned it into a movie. And I think it's a good way to send off the series. I'll let you decide, and we'll talk about it then. But I think we only have like 2 minutes left, so let's do some self-promotion here. So you have, was it Elmwood Productions?
Yeah, right? Elmwood Productions. Yep.
And you talked about
puppets and puppet movies. Yeah.
But you do have so many different things because a lot of the stuff you can find on YouTube. Is that correct?
Yeah, lots of stuff on YouTube. Had the horror movies on Tubi, Amazon, all those type of things. Screambox, a few of the iTunes. I think it's on a bunch of stuff. Yeah.
And it's Jon Bristol.
Yeah.
And then me, I'm Rich Stair, radio show, 2 radio shows, but the one, Nutmeg Chatter presents the Claws Corner, and Nutmeg Junction, which pays homage to the old radio serials. But John, so
Rich,
glad you started the show, so I will see you sometime soon.
Cheers.
And this has been Real Talk with Rich and John.
Groovy.